So I figured I would get some more Lakers views, but also this is something worth talking about. How do the Lakers surround LeBron and AD with talent? Do they go for a third star, or do they just get role players, guys who can make shots, play defense, veterans, all that type of thing? I think there's a case to be made for both. The case for getting a third star is, of course, it's a third star, whether it's Kemba or Kawhi or whoever else. And it would also probably make it easier to not play LeBron as much, which is pretty important. I mean, the guy just had his first real injury, and if you could play him 65 games a year and maybe only play him 30 minutes a night or something, and he gets to sit some fourth quarters, that would be amazing, because you're, of course, trying to keep LeBron going for as long as possible. And then, of course, once again, just the talent would be wild. But the case against getting a third star would be, it would be a lot tougher to build an actual team. And we've seen, even when KD and Steph and Clay were really rolling there, the moment somebody like Iguodala got hurt, they suddenly looked a lot worse, and the Rockets were able to push them all the way to 7 games because they had frickin' Jordan Bell and Kevon Looney playing together, you know? And a similar thing like that can happen to the Lakers. The other thing also is, I guess, the play style thing. I mean, in a perfect world, you can just be like, oh yeah, put as many stars together and it's all perfect. But the thing is, it doesn't always go that way. I mean, we saw Kyrie, after 3 years, didn't want to be on the Cavs anymore. We saw Kevin Love, who was really frustrated playing next to LeBron, even if he kind of made it work in the end. Chris Bosh had to adjust his game. D. Wade and LeBron worked, partially because D. Wade got hurt, so we accepted that this is how it's going to be anyway. But the other thing is D. Wade and LeBron are also best friends and really smart players, so they had a way to make that work out. But I do think you're playing with fire a little bit in that sense. I mean, like, say if the Lakers actually managed to get Kawhi, right? I would pick them to win the finals. I'd be shocked if they didn't at least make it and all that stuff. But would Kawhi be cool with LeBron doing his LeBron thing? Because it's still going to happen, even if Kawhi Leonard's on the team, where LeBron's going to bring the ball up. He's going to sometimes take way too damn long to make his decision. Granted, he's still LeBron, so it works out for him, but I don't know, Kawhi might get annoyed by that. Kemba might get annoyed by that if he was ended up on this team. Now, you could say, well, then it would allow LeBron to play off the ball more. Yes, it would. I also don't think LeBron's going to play off the ball. So there's all that. Now, again, if the Lakers sign a third star, I'm picking them to win the finals, and I'm not thinking too hard about it. So, again, the case does make itself. And another reason why I think you have to be like, yeah, getting a third star is cool, is teams are going to go nuts in free agency or in trades or that kind of thing, because that's just where we're at with the NBA. I mean, we saw Daryl Morey, where when the Warriors just kept loading up on players, and by that I mean when they signed KD, Daryl Morey went for the jugular and he traded for Chris Paul. So whether it's him or whether it's Portland, who now have a lot of trade assets with their expiring contracts and they've got all their picks, and, you know, whoever else, I mean, Denver's got a lot of assets. Teams might just be really gunning to knock off the Lakers here, and getting a third star could, of course, help you in that department. Now, you could argue that if you just hit a home run in terms of all the role players, that could be the equivalent of a third star. But we see that tough shot making really matters in the postseason. There's not a lot of Fred VanVleets out there. So if you can get a guy who can just make some FU shots against a really good team, aka someone like Kemba Walker, then maybe you still just do that anyway. And you deal with the fact that, yeah, it might be a little tougher to round out our roster, but we're willing to roll those dice. And also, one more thing to mention about if they signed a third star is you already have Kuzma, and you could re-sign Caruso and Bullock, 2 good NBA players, so you're already kind of along your way to building an actual roster. Now to talk about, like, really just going all in on, like, we're not going to get a third star, we're just going to get Danny Green and Marcus Morris and Terrence Ross or Patrick Beverley or Dwayne Dedmon, just guys like that, right? Number one is the idea of LeBron and AD together, probably a perfect fit. I mean, AD is the best finisher in the league, I'm going to guess, without looking at any stats, and LeBron's LeBron. So the pick and roll between those two, the pick and pop, and just the million things that you can do that Frank Vogel might or might not actually do, I don't know, is pretty endless stuff. And getting a third star in there, it could just make things a little weird. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, we've seen the third star of LeBron teams have to figure it out. And yeah, it's usually a big guy, but maybe this time it would be a point guard, who knows? So yeah, I guess that's where I'm at on the case to be made against the third star, right? It's like the fit could be a little better because it's just LeBron and AD and everybody else knows their place, with Kuzma being the one other guy who is going to shoot a bit more. And then, depth certainly matters and all that stuff. So there we go. Honestly, I don't think there's a wrong decision here. I think it's just a matter of doing it right with whichever one you pick. So it's like, all right, well, if you're going to get a third star, then you better have some roadmap already to getting an actual roster here of guys who can make shots and defend and not crap their pants once the playoffs come around. But if you're, on the flip side, if you're going to choose to not get a third star, then make sure that the dudes you're going to sign don't suck, which, of course, the Lakers screwed up at last free agency. And once again, they already have a couple guys they can re-sign, which could help them out in that direction. So that's where I end up. Just don't screw it up, pretty much.